He is, by every visible measure, successful. He is, by every invisible measure, trapped. A man in Los Angeles drives a $140,000 car to a job he can't afford to leave. The car payment is $2,200 a month. The insurance is $400. The garage at his downtown office, $350. He earns $300,000 a year. He has $17 in savings. He is, by every visible measure, successful. He is, by every invisible measure, trapped. This video is about the difference between those two things and why 2,000 years ago, 3 philosophers figured out the answer so clearly, so precisely, that modern finance has spent decades failing to teach it. We have built an entire financial culture around a single assumption, that wealth is visible, that it can be measured in square footage, horsepower, logos, and account balances, that the person with the biggest number wins. This assumption is not just wrong, it is the source of most financial suffering in the modern world, because the game it creates has no finish line. Every time you reach the number you thought was enough, the number moves. The house becomes the neighborhood becomes the school district. The school district becomes the second home, and at every step, the people around you are running the same race, which means the finish line is always exactly one upgrade ahead of wherever you are. Marcus Aurelius, writing alone in his tent at the edge of the Roman Empire, thought this was the most dangerous idea a person could have. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Not fewer possessions, fewer wants. That is a different problem entirely, because what most people are actually doing is expanding their wants as fast as their income grows. You got the raise, you upgraded the apartment, you closed the deal, you upgraded the car, you hit the milestone, you upgraded the lifestyle, and somehow, every year, the number in your account looks roughly the same because your floor rose to meet your ceiling. This is not a budgeting problem. This is not an income problem. This is a visibility problem. The wealth you need most cannot be seen. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He owned multiple estates. He advised an emperor. He moved in the highest circles of power. And he was also one of the most honest writers who ever lived about what wealth actually costs. He wrote something in a private letter that most financial advisors would never say out loud. It is not the man who has little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Every time you buy something to impress someone, a car, a watch, a vacation you post about, you are paying a tax, not to the government, to your future self, because that purchase didn't just cost money, it cost freedom. It raised your floor, increased your baseline, and added to what Seneca called the debt of performance, the invisible obligation to keep appearing successful to people who, in most cases, are not thinking about you at all. Seneca described a neighbor who rebuilt his house 3 times, not because it was broken, but because his neighbors kept building nicer ones. He called this man servus lautitiae, a slave to elegance. The house enslaved him, not through a mortgage, through comparison. Here is what the debt of performance looks like in modern life. It is not one purchase, it is a cascade. You buy the car because the lease feels manageable, but now you need to park it at a certain kind of place. You need to wear a certain kind of clothes to match it. You need to live in a neighborhood that makes sense with it. The car didn't cost $800 a month. The car cost a lifestyle. You take the job with the prestige title, but now you need the wardrobe that fits the title. The lunch spots, the trips that make sense on a LinkedIn profile, the apartment that matches what someone with that title would live in. The title didn't cost you 40 hours a week. The title cost you the identity you had to build around it. Seneca watched this happen to people all around him in one of the richest cities in the history of the world, and wrote about it with remarkable clarity. Am I buying this, or am I performing this? If the answer is performing, you are not spending money. You are renting an identity, and the rent never goes down. Before we go further, here is the one practical exercise every Stoic practiced in some form. 5 questions. You can do this tonight. 1. Visibility test. Look at your 3 largest recurring expenses. Would you keep paying each one if no one could ever see it or know about it? 2. Stress test. Think about your last significant purchase. Did it reduce your stress, or did it add a new maintenance cost to your life? 3. Anxiety inventory. List the things you own that you are afraid to lose. Each one is a source of anxiety you are voluntarily paying for. 4. Freedom number. Calculate the monthly amount you would need to live a life you would choose, even if no one was watching. Not your retirement number, your freedom number. 5. The visibility gap. Compare that number to what you actually spend. The gap is the distance between the life you perform and the life you actually want. Most people have never done this. Most people will not do it because the results are uncomfortable. The gap is usually larger than expected, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Seneca did this every day. Marcus Aurelius did it every night. Epictetus, as you are about to hear, did it by force because he had no other choice. Epictetus was born a slave, literally owned by a man named Epaphroditus in Rome. He had no property, no savings account, no investment portfolio, and he became one of the most studied philosophers of all time, specifically on the subject of wealth, freedom, and what it means to be truly rich. He is rich who is content with the least, for contentment is the wealth of nature. He wasn't saying contentment as a nice idea, he was saying it as a survival strategy. Because he had nothing to lose, he feared nothing. Because he feared nothing, no one could control him. His owner tried to break his leg once to demonstrate power over him. Epictetus reportedly said calmly, "You are going to break it." The leg broke. He said, "Did I not tell you?" No rage, no despair, because Epictetus understood something that takes most wealthy people decades to learn. The things you own end up owning you, not metaphorically, literally. Every asset on your balance sheet also appears on your anxiety sheet. The house might go underwater, the portfolio might crash, the business might fail, the car might get stolen, the reputation might collapse overnight. The more visible your wealth, the more surface area you have given the world to threaten you. Think about what this means practically. A person with a $4 million portfolio, a $2 million house, and a $200,000 income has millions of reasons to feel anxious and a lifestyle that requires every one of those dollars to stay in place. A person who has trained themselves to live well on $3,000 a month has almost no surface area. They can walk away from almost anything. They can say no to almost anyone. That ability, that internal freedom, is worth more than most people's entire financial plan. Epictetus called it prohairesis, the power of choice, the one thing no one can take from you. In modern terms, it is the ability to walk away from the job, from the client, from the deal, from the relationship that costs you more than it gives. The ability to say no without financial panic is worth more than most people's entire net worth, and it is completely invisible on any balance sheet you will ever see. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man alive for 19 years. He commanded the largest military force on earth. He governed 60 million people. He had every visible form of wealth imaginable: palaces, armies, treasuries, the loyalty of an empire, and yet the most important thing he wrote, in a private journal he never intended to publish, was about none of it. He wrote about what he called the things that cannot be taken: character, judgment, the habit of honest thought, the ability to begin again. Marcus had watched empires lose wars. He had watched fortunes collapse. He had watched powerful men who seemed untouchable, reduced to nothing overnight. And what he observed was that the men who recovered were never the ones who had the most money. They were the ones who had built invisible assets. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Modern finance calls this resilience, and resilience is the one asset that market crashes cannot touch. Think about 2008. Think about 2020. Think about every financial collapse in your lifetime. The people who rebuilt fastest were not the ones with the biggest portfolios going in. They were the people who had, at some point, deliberately lived on less, chosen discomfort before it was chosen for them. They had practiced losing, so when losing came, it did not destroy them. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of armies, slept on a simple military cot. Not because he had to, because he chose to. He was practicing invisibility on purpose, so that no external change could alter his internal position, so that if everything was taken he would still know exactly who he was and what he was capable of. The ancient Stoics called this melete thanatou, the meditation on loss, regularly imagining you have lost the things you have: your income, your home, your health, your reputation. Not to be depressed by it, not to live in fear of it, but to discover in that quiet imagining that you could survive it, and in that discovery to find that you were never as dependent on those things as you thought you were, because the fear of losing something is often more expensive than the thing itself. It keeps you in jobs you hate. It keeps you in relationships that drain you. It keeps you making financial decisions from anxiety rather than from clarity. Marcus did this practice specifically around money. He would ask himself, if I lost this tomorrow, who would I be? And the answer every time was the same person I am right now. Because the things that made him who he was, his judgment, his discipline, his commitment to honesty, none of those lived in his bank account. That discovery is wealth, the kind that compounds quietly in your decisions, your sleep, and the way you walk into a negotiation when you genuinely do not need to win it. Invisible wealth is not the absence of money. It is the absence of need. It is not poverty. It is the practiced ability to live on less than you have. It is not minimalism as an aesthetic. It is the deliberate refusal to let your expenses define your identity. Here is what this looks like in practice. It is not giving up the things you want. It is building the internal strength to want fewer things and to want the right things. It is knowing the difference between a purchase that expands your life and a purchase that is trying to compensate for something missing inside it. It is calculating your freedom number and then, slowly, deliberately, working to shrink the gap between what you need and what you spend. Not as punishment, as construction. You are building a fortress. Marcus Aurelius measured his wealth by how much he could give up without changing. Seneca measured his by how many mornings he woke up free from obligations he didn't choose. Epictetus measured his by the number of people who could not threaten him, which, because he owned nothing, was everyone. One was an emperor, one was a billionaire, one was a slave, and all three reached the same conclusion. They regularly, deliberately practiced needing less, not as deprivation, as protection, as the construction of a fortress that no market crash, no employer, no algorithm, no sudden reversal of fortune could ever breach. The wealthiest people you will ever meet are not the ones with the largest accounts. They are the ones who have the most they could give up and feel nothing. Your visible wealth is fragile. Your invisible wealth is permanent. The question is which one you have been building. If this made you think, subscribe. There is more where this came from.